What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to jump in and take a look at some exclusive gameplay of the Gambit game mode coming to Destiny 2 in the Forsaken DLC in September. So I can show you guys some gameplay, talk a little bit about how it works and some new details, as well as a few impressions. We also have some new press images for the Forsaken DLC with some pretty interesting stuff in. On top of this, we can take a look at a new exotic bow weapon, some other new gear, and a bunch of other stuff, so let's jump straight into it. So first up, we're going to take a look at a new exotic. I have to say thanks to Activision though for flying me out to E3 to check out this game mode. One of the first things you'll notice in this gameplay, there is a new exotic, and this is actually one of the new bow weapons. And this is called the Trinity Ghoul. It's a pretty cool weapon actually. So it's got spread shot, fires an arrow that splits when released, and then its secondary trait bonus is precision kills grant the next shot chain lightning capabilities. So like I said, it's a pretty interesting weapon. We can also see some new stats on it. So we've got impact, accuracy, stability, handling, reload speed, and draw time, as well as inventory size. So that's your reserve ammo. I didn't get an absolute ton of gameplay with this thing. You can see when you make that precision kill, you will see lightning rod in the UI, and that means that the next shot actually has that arc chaining capability. Pretty fun weapon to use. It definitely can be pretty strong if you keep landing precision hits. Obviously you can see other legendary weapons and random bits of gear in this gameplay as well. I'm going to talk about those more later on. Before I talk about Gambit though, I do have a little bit of gameplay of two of the new supers in action. So of course these are new subclass paths that you get on existing subclasses. So first we have the Void Hunter with the new spectral blades. This is basically the Void Blade Dancer that we saw in some of the trailers. We weren't able to inspect the subclass trees, but when you first activate the super, you will go invisible, and it's also possible for you to see enemies through objects and stuff like that when you actually pop the super as well. Otherwise, it's pretty similar to a Blade Dancer. It's a pretty strong feeling super on the PvE element. Of course, on the PvP front, it's going to be pretty good as well, I think. But then for the new Arc Titan, of course, on the existing Striker subclass, the new super is essentially death from above, with the exception that you can actually pop it and then steer it just like a missile, essentially. So you can kind of steer through the air and slowly push towards your enemies. It definitely looks a bit tricky to use. I didn't actually play the Titan, funnily enough. I played the Hunter. But obviously, like I said, both of these existing on current subclasses, they are new paths with new supers. The only one that I can't show you guys, unfortunately, is the Warlock super that was available. But as you've probably seen, a whole bunch of us have posted gameplay of this stuff. I'm sure there's plenty of Warlock gameplay out there. Either way, I just wanted to take a brief look at those. Obviously, we don't get too many details just yet, but we do get a look at how some of the supers are actually going to operate, which is pretty cool. But now let's talk about Gambit. Like I said, I've actually had the chance to play the mode. So to break down the very basics of it, of course, you kill enemies, you bank the motes to actually score. It is a 4v4 PvEVP mode, but essentially you bank the motes to actually score. You can deposit multiple motes at a time, and if you deposit enough motes, you will actually be able to send a blocker. And this is basically a tanky target that will spawn in your enemy's arena. And obviously this is going to slow down the scoring and distract the enemy team to a degree, but if you bank 5 motes at once, you will spawn a small blocker for your enemy team, 10 motes will spawn a medium, and 15 motes a large blocker. So basically the more motes you can bank at once, the more you are going to make it difficult for the enemy team, but of course there is the risk of actually carrying around that many motes, because if you die, you do lose all of the motes that you have. Either way, every time your team banks 25 motes, it will open up the portal so that one player on your team can actually invade the enemy team. So if you get the opportunity to invade, you'll actually have 1 life, so if you die in the other realm, you're done, but otherwise you'll have around 30 seconds to actually get kills and disrupt the enemy team, and after that you'll be pulled back into your team's arena. And just to clarify, I got to ask Bungie a few questions about this. They said that the spawn points for invaders are actually random, and they tend to be very well hidden in different areas of the map, and so if your team is being invaded, you are told that that is happening, but you won't see whoever is invading on the radar. You won't necessarily know where they've spawned or anything like that, and it's going to be down to them to decide how they want to disrupt your game. So obviously it's a pretty interesting kind of mechanic there, but outside of that, 75 motes scored means that your team will actually be able to spawn a primeval, and this is the boss that you'll have to take down in order to finish the round. However, once you have a primeval up on your side, an enemy player can invade your team over and over again while you attempt to kill that boss, and if an enemy invader actually makes kills, it will heal the boss's health a little bit every time they get a kill on one of the players in the other arena. So there are a lot of layers to this, a lot of different things going on, of course, using the blockers, deciding when you want to spawn primevals in, when you're going to attack enemy teams, all of these kind of different things that enable quite a few decisions for folks to make, but also a few pretty interesting strategies I'm sure are going to emerge from this. So honestly, the gameplay side of it is really fun so far. I really like that you're thinking about multiple different elements and trying to form a solid strategy to keep things moving, and also reduce the risk of anybody invading your arena. Then of course there are the different mechanics centered around the boss. You know, if you've got your boss spawned in, are you going to have your entire team focus that boss to try and get him down as soon as possible? Or are you going to have 1 or 2 players on the lookout for the person who's actually invading you? But they also said, I believe, 4 different maps will be available for this mode, and there will be 3 different combinations of enemies. Of course, on top of this, the Gambit mode is match made, and it will have a full loot table of weapons, armor, and of course this gear is actually going to benefit from some of the changes they're making to the game, like random rolls for the weapons. So I found the game mode to be really fun. Obviously I didn't get the most hands-on time, I literally had 1 game, but from what I played it was very enjoyable. Bungie say this is going to be bang in the middle of the director as well, so it'll be the kind of first thing you actually see. They're definitely trying to funnel players into this game mode, and I think as long as the progression side, the potential for awesome loot is there, people will be playing a lot of Gambit. But I'd be curious to hear any thoughts that you guys have on that stuff. But we got a new press pack for the DLC, a bunch of pretty awesome screenshots, and some stuff which we didn't know about before now. I'm gonna let some of these run out, but a couple to point out would include this one, where we see the Warlock with that new exotic hand cannon. There is actually a trailer for the Gambit mode, where it does show this in the reward section, so it looks like this is going to be tied to the Gambit mode. We see weapons right here with a kind of Taken skin on them, which is pretty interesting. This is the Gambit vendor. Obviously he oversees the matches, and he's going to deal with rewards and other types of loot, I guess. It's good that we've actually got a vendor for this activity, so hopefully plenty of progression will be there as well. We get a really nice screenshot right here of the hunter with the new exotic sword. This thing looks really neat. On the product information it does say the Barons and the Prince of the Awoken, Aldrin Sov, have organized a jailbreak at the Prison of Elders. You and K6 have been sent to try and bring law and order back to the embattled facility, but things do not go to plan. So again guys, pretty cool stuff, but I hope you have enjoyed this video, a first look at Gambit, some new gear, and some hints and teasers, as well as those screenshots for the new content that we're going to be seeing. I am going to make a separate video on the supers, some of the new weapons, pieces of gear, and a roundup of a few other things, so stay tuned for that. But if you have enjoyed this video guys, a like is very much appreciated below. Let me know any thoughts you have on this stuff. I think it's looking pretty awesome so far. If players really enjoy the gameplay of Gambit, which I personally think they will if there's enough incentive to replay it, then honestly that replayability is the only other element. But random rolls is coming back. We have a vendor, so there's going to be some kind of progression there. Also triumphs will link to Gambit, and there'll be some which are pretty difficult. So on the whole it's going to be plenty of awesome stuff, but that of course is not everything that we get in the Forsaken. We get 2 new locations, one of which is where the raid will be housed, and this is a kind of mysterious endgame location where you can hunt bosses and treasures. Big system changes to weapons that we've spoken about. There's the campaign, there's the masterworks, and all of those other kinds of things. But anyway guys, I'm rambling on. There is actually a new trailer for the Gambit game mode as well, so I'm going to run that in just a second. Definitely worth watching. I appreciate you tuning in. Let me know your thoughts. Like I said, if you're new to this channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more D2 content. But for now, I hope you guys have an awesome day.
This little game you're about to play, I call Gambit. Your fire team's gonna compete with another gang of Guardians to see which of you is better at hunting all the enemies of humanity. All right. Let's see what we've got. Fallen.
This is Gambit, an all-new hybrid game mode for Destiny 2 Forsaken. It's team PvE with some PvP. Fight, collect, bank, invade.
Perfect.
2 teams of 4 in separate arenas. First to kill the boss wins. But you don't fight each other. Not yet. You fight these guys, and that thing. Kill enemies, grab the motes they drop, and bank them to score. Deposit enough at once, and you'll send the other team a blocker, a beast to slow down their progress.
That'll take them a while to chew.
And every 25 motes your team racks up, well, you don't send a beast, you are the beast. Buffed and unleashed on the enemy team with one goal: disruption.
One more in the grave. 3 down.
Pick your targets wisely, because when a Guardian dies, their motes die with them. Now, once your team has enough motes banked, you'll face the big boss, a primeval.
You summoned a primeval. Kill it, and the win is yours.
Burn him down, but look alive. because he won't be alone. A Guardian from the other team can keep invading through the final fight. Stick together to wreck the enemy faster, or send a Guardian to bomb the other side. Throughout a match, that's your gamble. And it can reap killer rewards. Fight, collect, bank, invade. Dominate the enemies. Deny your opponent. Destroy the primeval. This is Gambit. Woo!
Yeah!
Destiny 2 Forsaken available September 4th. Pre-order now and get Cade's exotic stash.